6 years. We've aimed to be a catalyst for growth and opportunity here in our community, and we've been excited to be associated with a number of great organizations and great people and great things happening in our area. And we're here today to really celebrate and talk about one of those outstanding opportunities that are going forward. On a personal note, I've had a chance in the last few years to get to know Jim Williams and the team over at Habitat. I've seen firsthand the good work that they've done in and around our areas, and I will tell you, you have one of the most dynamic leaders of a nonprofit or any organization anywhere around in Jim. And so it's with a great enthusiasm that I welcome you here today, and we look forward to an outstanding year and a great event that's coming forward. So without further ado, Jim, I'm going to turn the
Well, this is an exciting event. Thank you all for being here. We do have some exciting news to share with you, but before we get into that, I want to recognize some special guests that we have with us. Mayor Pete Buttigieg from the City of South Bend, thank you for being here. Mayor Dave Wood from the City of Mishawaka. Tim Sexton, the Executive Vice President for Community Affairs at the University of Notre Dame. Mike Leap Sr., Founder and Chairman of the Gurley Leap Automotive Corporation. And also Mike Lugley from the Northern Indiana District, and is one of the presidents for KeyBank. We really appreciate them being here. We're excited to announce that the honorary chairs for the 2018 Car to Work project are Mike and Karen Leap and Leroy and Phyllis Troyer. Would you give them a round of applause? We're so glad that Leroy was able to be here with us today. Our leadership team is led by some distinguished event chairs who are Dave and Pam Jarrett, Tim and Tanya Sexton, and Paul and Kirsten Fair. Would you give them a round of applause, please? I'd also like to recognize Paul Kirk, who's the local director for the Car to Work project, who's doing a lot of work for us. Gina Leckren, the executive director of Habitat Indiana. Also Andy Place Sr. and Kenny Wagner, who are heading up our construction activities. And we've got several of our families here as well that have already been accepted into the program, and you'll get to meet them a little bit later on. Since 1987, Habitat for Humanity of St. Joseph County has built 190 homes in St. Joe County. 140 of them have been built in South Bend, and 50 of them have been built in Mishawaka. And our families have paid well over $1 million in property taxes. So I know the mayors like to hear that. That's a good figure. I also like to share with you that 85% of our families still live in their Habitat house after all these years. I think that's a great statistic as well. And I was just told yesterday, the latest number is 32 of our families have already paid off their Habitat mortgage. So that's awesome. There are only 35 locations in the entire world that have been chosen to host the Jimmy and Rosalind Car to Work project. And to be able to say that St. Joseph County, Indiana is one of them, I think is a tremendous honor, and we should all be very, very proud of that. You know, people sometimes when they hear about this event, they have questions about, well, how do you select your families? How do you choose the people that can come into the program? There's just 3 criteria. They need to have a demonstrated need for housing. They need to be willing to partner and go through the program, which takes at least a year. And also they must have the ability to pay back the mortgage. It's a 0% interest mortgage, but they must have a job and show that they can pay that back. In South Bend, we're going to be doing renovations and new home construction. We're going to be doing a total of 17 projects. And the build locations were chosen based on partnerships that we had with several organizations, including the Near Northwest Neighborhood, Thrive Michiana, Rebuilding Together, and the Monroe Park Neighborhood Association. And the build site in Mishawaka was chosen because someone gave us the land. Easy as that. Very generous individual, Frank Darnell. We're actually developing 41 lots. We're building on 21 of them, but the remaining lots, our plan is to offer them to for-profit builders. So in the end, that will really have a truly mixed income and a diverse community. So we're excited about that. We want the community to know that we serve families that make 80% or less of the area median income. Now, most people have no idea what that means, so let me give you an example. That's a family of 5 making less than $52,000 a year. Okay, those are the kind of families that we're working with that cannot go to a traditional bank and get a traditional mortgage. And so Habitat is their only option for becoming a homeowner. A lot of people ask, well, what kind of background screening do you do? And I'm here to tell you we do quite an extensive screening process. Criminal history background checks, sex offender checks, credit history reports, character references, all those things take a long time. In fact, I see our homeownership group in the back there, and they know how many hours that takes to put in and to screen those families. They do a wonderful job. We are currently conducting information meetings, and those that want to know more about that, they can go to our website at hfhsjc.org and find out about those specific dates. I would be remiss if I did not mention that Habitat does not give houses away for free, okay? We love this program because of that fact that it is a hand up, not a handout. So we give a 0% interest mortgage, but our families pay back that mortgage. Those payments come to Habitat, and we reinvest that principal back into building more Habitat houses in St. Joseph County. So it's just wonderful how that all comes together. I'd like to close by honoring a special individual who I mentioned earlier, Mr. Leroy Troyer. We would not be hosting the Carter Work Project if it was not for Leroy's support and him being a part of this. He's a graduate of the University of Notre Dame, and he's an architect, the founder of the Troyer Group. He's the reason why I got involved with the Carter Work Project. I believe it was 6 years ago, 2011. We went and built houses in Haiti. And it was a life-changing experience. I've been a part of the Carter Work Projects ever since then. And Leroy has personally led President Carter's build site on these Carter Work Projects for the last 32 years. That's a long time. And I'll never forget, when Leroy and I were in Memphis, Tennessee, building Habitat houses on one of these projects, we went and had breakfast at Cracker Barrel Restaurant. And we were sitting there, and I said, Leroy, I said, you know, this application round for the next place that's going to host the Carter Work Project is taking place. I said, do you think that the Carters would ever consider bringing this project to your hometown? You've been working beside them for 32 years. And he said, well, we'll never know unless we try. I'll never forget, he had his little notepad, and we started scratching out the notes of what we would say and how we said our community can do this. And I want you to know, we competed against much larger cities. And when they told us that they were considering us, they said, why do you guys think that you could host an event of this magnitude? And we said very confidently, first of all, we think that our community has shown a level of support for the mission of Habitat that rivals any other affiliate across the country, and we can show you that. We also said that we think that our community is a generous community, and that we can raise the $4.7 million that it's going to take to pull this project off. We're going to invest over $2 million in the subdivision in Mishawaka and over $800,000 in South Bend. And we're confident we can do it. And we want to show President and Mrs. Carter that this community can host an event of this magnitude. And we're so excited that you're here and our special guests are here, and they're going to say a few words about what it means to host the Carter Work Project.
Well, thank you. Good afternoon. On behalf of the City of South Bend, I am delighted to know that our region will host the Carter Work Project. It is a great example of what we talk about when we say that we punch above our weight class as a region. When you hear about us going head-to-head with larger communities, but ever better communities, you see how that really pays off. I want to thank Jim and the Habitat team for everything that you do in our community. Really been side by side with us. Even when we've asked you to think about problems that are a little different from the traditional Habitat problem set, like how to deal with the vacant and abandoned houses we already had, as we conquered that challenge as a community, and now making sure that we're creating the right kind of housing options in this region for people going forward. I think that this is the kind of project that really represents the character of our community, a generous character, but also one that comes together. You know, there's a lot of talk in philanthropy about hand out versus hand up. This is hand in hand, working hand in hand with families to make sure they are empowered to take their future into their own hands. And it's that fellowship, that working side by side, that I think is a testament not only to the generosity, but to the spirit and to the faith of this community. To have the likes of Leroy Troyer in our midst and in our region is a blessing. And we are thankful to you, to everybody who's providing leadership for this work project and backing efforts like Habitat. And I can tell you that we can't wait to be out there with our hammers and nails or whatever you tell us to do. So thank you, and I'm delighted to introduce our next speaker, our next mayor, who's got a very special relationship with Habitat, Mayor Dave Wood of Mishawaka.
Thank you very much. For me, this is very personal. You know, it started for me back in about 1995 for purely selfish reasons, figuring I could gain some skills to use at my own home. Went out and volunteered on a Habitat site, and I caught what we call hepatitis. And I got to meet some great people, Leroy included, and with Leroy's help, I also got to have and earn the great honor. One of the great honors of my life is to meet and work alongside the Carters, and so been to places like Plains, Georgia, and Houston, and Benton Harbor, Michigan, and South Africa, and the Philippines, working with families. And so 30 plus homes later, I couldn't be more proud to have this site come into our region, come into Mishawaka. I owe you know, the Carters so much, I owe Leroy so much, and I owe Habitat so much. I wouldn't be where I am today without Leroy or without Habitat. And so, like I said, this is personal. But what this means ultimately is it's the foundation for so many families who are going to live here in our community. They're going to send their kids to our schools. They're going to have a stake in making their community a better place. They're going to own their home, and they're going to be great citizens. And I know that because I've worked along with over 30 families and seen what home ownership can mean for these families. I know what a simple, decent, affordable home has meant to my family, and I've witnessed it all around the world, what just that stable home can mean for not just families, but for future of children. And it is transformational. And so when we heard about this project, we were all in, and of course that means that we had to make some big commitments. Now, over the past 7 years that I've been mayor, I think we've done about 42 Habitat homes in Mishawaka, and we do several a year. But for this one, we had to not just provide lots, we had to build some infrastructure too. And so our crews have been out there, despite the elements and different things. We're, I think, way ahead of schedule with the roads, the services that we're providing, the utilities, the alleys, and so we couldn't be more excited to partner in that way. And then, of course, we need to make sure that this event goes off without a hitch, and so we are already planning for that. We're buying vehicles for our public safety departments. We will make sure that this project happens without any issues. That's a big challenge, but we're up to it. And when I think about you know, these homes and that week, I can tell you from experience, there's nothing like it. The sights and sounds of that 1 week. We'll have 300 people coming in from all over the country, but we're going to have probably a better part of 1,000 people out there to volunteer. And so I would encourage all of you to get involved in a big way, and I promise you it will absolutely be something you will never forget, and something to behold. And so we're up to the challenge. We're looking forward to these next few months of planning, but ultimately next year, you know, I think you're going to be in for a huge treat, I can tell you from experience. So with that, I want to thank you, and we'll turn it over to, I think, Tim Sexton from the university.
Thank you, Mayor Dave. On behalf of the University of Notre Dame, we are absolutely thrilled to be working with Habitat for Humanity and the Carter Work Project on this initiative. In addition to numerous faculty, staff, our athletics division, in addition students on campus, we've been very engaged with Habitat for Humanity. In fact, our student group, our on-campus student group, is one of the longest running student groups for Habitat nationally. We're very, very proud of that. We've actually worked on 20 homes, I believe, here in St. Joseph's County. They have, I should say, worked on 20 homes, and we're excited to be a part of this initiative. We're so excited that one of the things that we've offered to do is host the opening ceremony at the Purcell Pavilion on August the 26th at 5 p.m., which we hope all of you will attend. It's just one of those things that I think that from the university perspective, we really want to be involved with. So again, we're thrilled to be partnering with Habitat. We're thrilled to be part of the Carter Work Project. And we're also very, very excited to be working with Leroy Troyer. I believe Mike Lee.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Leek, and I've had the honor of hanging around with Habitat for about 15 years. I started with a hammer and nail and done projects and really enjoyed it. But the thing that makes this so special for our family and our community is that this is a real opportunity to change lives. And because of Leroy Troyer and because of Habitat and Jim Williams, we have a real opportunity here. And our family and our company is excited to be part of this wonderful, wonderful, wonderful job that you're all gonna do, because I know we're all coming out, right? Yes. So we look forward to that. But thank you very, very much. We're humbled to be a part of it, and Leroy Troyer is truly a legend, and we're blessed to have him in our community, and that's what I will tell you. Thank you very, very much. And now I have Mike Plugley.
Afternoon. I am Mike Plugley. I'm with KeyBank. I'm the Northern Indiana Market President for the bank. We're very, very happy to be here and to assist in this project. It's a wonderful project. Key believes strongly in investing in the communities where we work, where its employees live. And this is just yet one more sign of that. KeyBank last year signed up to a $16.5 billion reinvestment into the communities that Key is located in. That is either through direct grants or through low-income housing credits or lending. So it is a significant investment. Key invests significantly in these communities in Northern Indiana. Between this year and next year, we'll have contributed over $900,000 to the communities. And including that, all of our staff and employees volunteer and work with many of the nonprofit groups here. So we are thrilled to be here, and we are happy to be kicking this campaign off with an initial check to Jim.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot of zeros, everybody. Wow. Now, when I said we were competing against much larger cities, and we had to show that we had the capability to raise the money that we need to raise, I can't tell you, those of you from KeyBank, Mike, thank you for your leadership and your help in getting this presented to those that made the final decision. But this is the kind of gift that sets the pace for this kind of fundraising. This is the kind of gift that just helps get other people involved and say, hey, this is really gonna happen. We really have generous people and companies and foundations in St. Joseph County. So thank you so much for being our lead platinum sponsor. And this is encouraging everything from the staff to the community. I mean, this is the kind of gift that just really inspires us and says, hey, we can do this. And it's gonna be a great representation. Just in closing, I just want to mention a couple things that we are going to need 250 local volunteers every single day out on the build site. Now, we're not going to start registration until March. It's going to be an online process. There's several things we'll be announcing along the way, but we're going to need local volunteers to come out. We're going to be giving updates out on our website, like I said earlier, hfhsjc.org. But you can check, and we'll let you know the latest and the greatest. But we obviously are continuing to raise money to recruit volunteers, and most importantly, recruiting families. So we're hoping that people will watch this on the media and will see that, hey, and maybe they've never considered Habitat for Humanity. Maybe they thought they would never be able to qualify, but they realize, hey, it's worth checking it out, getting the information, filling out the application. You wouldn't believe how many families are living in Habitat homes right now that at one time said, we would never qualify for a Habitat house. So again, everybody, thank you for being here on this special occasion, and let's show the world what St. Joseph County is all about. All right?